I love Halloween. The one time of year when everyone wears a mask, not just me. People think it's fun to pretend you're a monster. Me, I spend my life pretending I'm not.
I feel as if the first sign of madness is an unadulterated, unreasonable obsession with Nazis, an outward projection of your own misery. At its core, this obsession seems to stem from a twisted form of self-hatred, a psychological fungus that festers due to isolation and pain, a method of self-hate used to project upon others for the pain that you're going through. And the examples used in this video will explain just that.
When I think about what I'm going to do, I get sad seeing and reading kids/adults before who did similar attacks. The loneliness, the fact that we had no other choice, no help, just nothing. I have no mother, I have no father, I have no sister, I have no brother. I was born alone and will leave this world alone.
We live in a relatively peaceful time, at least when compared to the brutality of the past. The sheer monstrosity of the crimes committed by Nazi Germany gave rise to a mixture of fear and fascination. Due to us not directly feeling their wrath, it allows us to come to our own conclusion about these very sensitive events. We are not the ones being affected by it. We weren't the ones that dealt with being in those chambers. We, from the comfort of our bedrooms, can say whatever we want about the situation.
I see good things about Hitler also.
And this caused the rise in a lot of fraudsters, fake supporters of Nazis that do it simply to piss others off because they know that they're supporting something that's truly evil, something that will spark controversy. This is the gimmick. Without a doubt, a lot of people in our generation are Nazi supporters simply for the gimmick of getting online attention. However, it's not as if they're brave enough or stupid enough to commit any crimes of their own to prove their loyalty to the cause. No burning of blacks, Jews, or any minority group. Just all internet talk, almost harmless to be honest. Most times they simply get pointed out for being a loser and their internet attention stops there. However, if this loser is a female who's attractive, they can often get away with this gimmick and continue it, if not make an entire career off of it. As there will always be an audience for a woman, no matter how much of a loser she is. That's just how things are on the internet. This is Culprit F, the fraud. She's simply a terrible human being, a Nazi supporter, a racist, culture vulture, and a lot more. Worst of all, however, is that she's a pedophile enabler. When she was underage, she would openly encourage predators to rape her, stating that she would love for it to happen. In short, she's just a weird internet degenerate.
When I was 15, my parents forced me to go outside, but instead I joined a Nazi Telegram group and ruined the next 4 years of my life forever.
Now, to really understand the full scope of this situation and who Sally Saxon is, you have to know about the group that she's most personally affiliated with. The name 2119 is a coded reference using alphanumeric substitution to the slogan "Blood and Soil" used in Germany in the 1940s. It was a central part of Hitler's racial ideology, the idea that only those of pure European descent have a right to occupy land, and that racial mixing is a contamination of the country. That's the foundation this group is built on. Not irony, not memes, not satire.
With Sally, things are a bit more complicated, because her entire life is documented online, and I do advise you guys watch this video if you're more interested in her full life story. However, Sally is interesting because everything did start as a gimmick. However, it developed to the point where it wasn't just a gimmick anymore. She genuinely got so interested and so hung up with the lifestyle that it genuinely consumed and destroyed her. The fake regrets of the long messages, being stuck in a lifestyle that you want to leave but you love it so much, you love it too much to do so. I understand that. I relate to that. After all, without purpose, who are we? Raised in an internet generation, we often find ourselves down a road we can't turn back on. What am I going to do? Go be a normal person? Go outside? Do normal people things? I can't. It's too late. The dopamine levels are already too high. The bar is set too high. If I can't feel these extreme emotions again, I simply cannot survive. Both Sally and Culprit F are two peas in a pod, allegedly to be creepy racist clout chasers and edgy women who do anything for male attention. However, while one did it for clout and attention and has a OnlyFans at age 18, the other one has 4 felonies at age 18 and was placed on the FBI watch list for multiple reasons. She spent upwards of a year on probation, house arrest, and jail, and is a part of a Nazi extreme group alongside her boyfriend. Sally can't get out. It started as a gimmick, but the lifestyle eats her alive. Nazi discords and telegram groups at age 15. Yeah, she never stood a chance.
Biggest hate against them really just comes down to everyone's a insecure faggot and they don't like people doing things like the way they want it. Like, yeah, they're gonna spray paint swastikas. Whoa, big deal. And yeah,
every video made on her, she leaves a comment. She cares so much. It's almost as if it's an obsession. If you're watching this video, Sally, tell the person inside of you I said hi. Sally and Culprit F represent the contrast, the difference of the gimmick and the lifestyle. This generation has been fed a narrative of sympathy for the villain. Whether it be fiction or non-fiction, sympathy for the villain can be found everywhere. True crime, Dahmer, Ted Bundy, school shooters, people love them. They sympathize with them, and they become them without even realizing it. Nazi pretenders becoming school shooters and felons is pretty common.
Solomon spent a good portion of his diary celebrating certain mass killers that he seemed to admire more than others. One of the killers mentioned the most was Dylan Storm Roof, a white supremacist mass murderer who perpetrated the Charleston church shooting.
I presume Sally didn't know that if you keep dancing with the devil,
one day it's gonna follow you home.
Dabbling in the gray area of no right or wrong.
Solomon spent a good portion of his diary celebrating certain mass killers that he seemed to admire more than others. One of the killers mentioned the most was Dylan Storm Roof, a white supremacist mass murderer who perpetrated the Charleston church shooting. While Dylan is considered to be frankly odd-looking by most, Solomon said that he was cool and wished that he could take pictures like he did. He says that black people hate him, brown people hate him, women hate him, the r/pol community, the politics subsection of 4chan hates him, and that it makes him want to cry. He laments that he basically feels his own culture is holding him back. He then has a page dedicated to his hatred of Jews and his views on circumcision. With his self-hatred, he complains about black people and black culture the most throughout by far. The majority of the pages can't even be shown because they would basically end up being half blurred out anyway.
These are the words of school shooter Solomon Henderson, age 17, written just 1 month before his deadly attack and suicide. He was notorious online for openly appreciating Nazi ideology and Hitler, but his obsession wasn't ideological, it was emotional. Solomon was raised in a deeply negative environment, one that caused him to breed self-hatred of the highest degree. So unlike those who wear extremist symbols as an edgy performance, he gravitated towards this darkness naturally because of how he truly felt inside. He was miserable, angry, in pain with no way out. When you feel trapped like that for long enough, your mind begins to bleed.
In his diary, Solomon expressed that he wanted to kill at least 10 people himself, and hopefully earn his place among all of the other killers that he admired so much. In the first diary entry that Solomon wrote on October 18th, he opened up with a photo of Eric Harris, one of the shooters in the Columbine High School massacre, followed by a photo of Var Graven Verkins. He wrote, "I'm burning with hate. Hate will change the world. Race mixing is a sin against God. Only the ill mentally will praise me after my death, and the only good N-word is a dead N-word, which includes me." He often spoke of how much he hated his own race and how much he wished that he was white.
We see this with all the other examples in this video as well. Everyone that's in this ideology, that supports this ideology of Nazi culture, are all miserable, angry people, hateful people that hate so much that it begins to be projected onto others. To someone who has been abused their entire life, who feels alien to the world around them, extremist beliefs don't offer power, they offer belonging. There's no reward in being a Nazi sympathizer, and he knows this. It's just that it was the only place he felt like he belonged, so he naturally went there. He probably didn't even realize it probably wasn't a conscious decision. But these people naturally gravitate towards this certain side of the internet, this certain piece of content. All these school shootings sympathizers, these Nazi sympathizers, they love the negativity. These are the people that create bombs and do that weird shit. This is what they gravitate towards because their lives are so miserable.
12 years of my life waste in an institution that taught nothing but how much I fucking hate people being forced to work with a groups of mongrel who can't speak English and then take credit for my work. Fuck the parents that place their children in these slave systems. It's retribution to commit this attack for all this shit. My parents didn't help me at all. If I did my online school, I could have graduated early, but no, you didn't want to help. Never helped me do anything. Shortly after, Solomon wrote that he had gotten into a fight with his mom, showcasing a small cut on his arm.
There is no reward in being a Nazi sympathizer, only the illusion of identity for a soul that sees no future for themselves. And when it comes to sympathizing for the villain, when it comes to people sympathizing with serial killers and sympathizing with school shooters, and people that sympathize with people who do Nazi stuff, hurt people, burn people, instead of basing their judgments off the horrific things that the people have done, they take the time to sympathize and try to understand the villain and their motives. A lot of people think this is an intelligent approach, instead of judging and persecuting the person immediately, you try to sit down and understand and find the context to see if the person is redeemable. Kanye is a prime example of this, and I know Kanye isn't Gen Z, however, he has a great influence on our generation. Kanye makes it a point to try and argue that not everything about Hitler is bad. And while objectively true, the real question is, why is that relevant at all? Why are you trying so hard to see the good in a truly despicable person? If that person truly had these good traits, why are these good traits not shown? Why didn't he do any good things to uplift and help people? Why are these good traits not on display for everyone to see? You wouldn't have to do the mental gymnastics to try your best to sympathize with a villain if you could just sit down and actually respect a good person and sympathize with actual good people. My point is they're using the energy on the wrong individuals. And the reason a lot of people support Hitler is due to Kanye's influence. Kanye is someone who wants to be seen as evil, but still wants to be given the benefit of the doubt regardless.
Why say fuck Virgil after he passed? I think a lot of people feel like, he's not here to defend himself. They always say sometimes, when someone passes away, you can't be for the dead man, It feels like you still have a little bit of animosity there.
I'm evil.
You don't think about his family and other people that love him?
I am an evil person.
Kanye is someone who wants to be seen as evil, but still wants to be given the benefit of the doubt regardless. Hence why he's trying to sympathize with evil to let people understand that when he takes that dark turn, they should still sympathize with him and support him nonetheless. And if we look at the timeline of when Kanye said these things about Hitler and look at the antics that he's been up to over the last year, it makes a lot of sense. He was prepping for this. Putting all the extra stuff to the side, the one reason as to why I sympathize with the villain is such a bad idea and it's so dumb is because the same generation that tries their best to sympathize with the villain is the same one that's notorious for lacking empathy for the victims. They try their best to understand Nazi supporters, school shooters, and all these bad people and try to say that they're simply broken individuals who had no choice. And even if that is true, they have no sympathy or give the same energy to the people who had their lives taken away from them, who did nothing wrong and had no choice either. So I don't get it. That's why I don't respect this ideology, because it simply breeds a terrible mindset. You can't sympathize for the villain but not have empathy for the victims. That's when you start to go down a path where you begin to lose yourself and truly become evil.
To be selfish is not evil, but evil is always selfish, as being consumed with yourself and your wants and needs without regard for those of others is a big part of what leads a person to evil. And so it makes all too much sense that a man who was essentially the embodiment of selfishness would endeavor to commit an act of evil so great that it would be nothing less than the ultimate crime.
New this morning, the Department of Justice says an alleged leader of an overseas neo-Nazi cult influenced the Antioch High School shooter. Jaxie Pigeon joins us now in studio with what court documents revealed this morning. Hey, Jaxie.
Well, Megan, a Georgian national and alleged leader of a neo-Nazi group called Maniac Murder Cult, or MKY, has been extradited to the U.S. and appeared in federal court. The Justice Department says MKY is an extremist group that promotes violence against racial minorities, Jews, and others it deems undesirable. The 21-year-old man now facing multiple charges, including soliciting hate crimes and acts of mass violence. In January, a 17-year-old student opened fire inside Antioch High School in Nashville, killing one student and shooting another before taking his own life. Court filings show the teen attacker claimed he was doing it on behalf of the MKY.
Okay, I'm a whore. Now what? Nigga, you think that's offending me? I'm the glizzy gobbler. Fuck is you talking about? You think that's gonna hurt my feelings that I suck since I was 13? I don't give a fuck.